Good. Okay, here we go. It's week 9, Brandon. That means it must be time for the TSF Game Plan show. I want to thank everyone for joining in, listening via video and audio. My name is Safwan Alvi. Again, I am joined by my friend, by TSF writer and contributor, right? That's Brandon Lampley. And again, we are TriStateFootball.com. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram at TS Football. Again, that's at TS Football. And you can like us on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on YouTube.com as well. Just search up TriStateFootball.com. And you can listen to our audio as well, pre-game and post-game coaches interviews. Just go to TriStateFootball.com. And you can also go anywhere you find your podcast, right? Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and you can listen to all of our content on there as well. And again, we appreciate everyone listening. It's the Week 9 TSF Game Plan show. And Brandon, so much of the season has gone. The playoffs are approaching here in just a couple weeks. We got some big matchups to talk about in Week 9, right? Week 8 was a really fun one at that. Interstate matchups, ranked matchups, right? Some conferences came to a close, right? We got some conference winners already, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I do want to jump right in to our first game of the evening, right? Talking about a little GCL co-ed coming in with two teams with really good records. We got a top 15 team in our Blitz 5 top 25. We got Alter coming in at 6-2, going to number 14 Baden coming in with an unblemished record at 8-0. Brandon, Baden's a good team, right? They got Nick Yorty leading the charge over there. Their defense has been stout for multiple years now, and Baden's on a really nice run for their program. Tell me about this Baden team for those of you who don't know very much, and kind of what you're looking forward to and what their playoff outlook could be as well.
Yeah, Baden, they're looking really good and really solid this year after what some would call a down year for them last year, even though they were still a playoff team and I think into the second round. But the expectation is very high over there now. So after making runs to the state semifinals a couple years in a row, I believe, the expectation is to get back. And this is the type of team uh, that can do that. They have a great running game. When you look at Lim Grayson, the senior, uh, all type of ability. He can be physical. He can beat you with speed. And they have a Chase Even, a sophomore, who is just right on the heels of Lim Grayson as going to be that next guy for the next couple years. A real speedster for him. James Brink out on the perimeter as a wide receiver, the leading wide receiver in the GCL co-ed. And Colt Emerson kind of makes that thing all come together, managing the game. And they're a tough physical team. They defend, as you said. I think they are a serious threat for a state championship this year, getting back there. And, I like them this week against Alter. Alter does have a great running game. When you look at guys like Cripps and Jones, they like to run the football. But I think that kind of plays into Baden's hands, staying physical. I like Baden at home this week.
Yeah, Baden statistically just are absolutely dominating almost every category of the GCL co-ed. Colt Emerson, as you mentioned, he leads the league in passing yards at 900. The next closest doesn't even have 700, which is McCaffrey Holcomb from Benwick. Len Grayson, you mentioned 852 rushing yards, leading the co-eds. James Brink, 472 yards receiving, leading the co-ed. And when we're talking about interception, this is a ball-hawking team. Cooper Clay, Jordan Kreider, Lem Grayson, right, who's also playing defense, also has 3 interceptions, right? And then you got guys like Logan Carwish, Balin Wong, Alex P., Dylan Andrews. All of those guys have 3 or more sacks. I mean, just these guys are all over the place, Brandon. And when you dominate a conference like this, right, it helps you because there are some good quality teams in the GCL South. But their offense is really good too, right? They're scoring 30 or more points in every single game. They come into this game undefeated, right? They had that dominating win against Carroll last week. When you're balanced on both sides of the ball and, dominating a conference like this, it is very interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see where they go in these final 2 games because they play the next 2 best teams, talking about Alter, and they play McNick, right? These are probably going to be 2 of the hardest games that they play. So I know they're going to be they're a good team, and we know that they're probably going to make a deep run, but we're going to find out more about them right over the next 2 weeks against two quality teams.
Yeah, definitely. We'll find out more about them. But I have a big belief in this team, and we mentioned all the guys, and I mentioned him as well. But I do believe the key to their team may be the sophomore Chase Even, simply because he gives them that ability to let Lim Grayson play more on defense, so he's not worn out. We saw that in Week 1 against Hamilton. Hamilton really was getting things going in the passing game with a particular wide receiver early in the game. They were able to get Grayson over there as a defensive back, and he kind of shut that down, and he was still able to get rest because Chase Even handled things on the ground for him.
Yeah, absolutely. The most points they gave up all season was to Hartley, and that was 42-24. Again, they're beating you offensively, defensively. That's why they're a top 15 team in our rankings. And again, in D3, they are definitely one of the favorites, one of the cream of the crop. So we look forward to continue watching Baden and their offense and their defense, head coach Nick Yorty. And now I do want to get to a big game, right? I could have let off with this game, right, because it's probably going to be one of the most fun and intriguing matchups of the night. But I did want to lead off with a little GCL co-ed. Shout out to Baden. But Brandon, you know what the big game is this week, right? Number 3, Anderson. Number 7, Winton Woods, a game that we are looking forward to every single year. It's turning out to be one of the blockbuster games of the year. The ECC, 2 top 10 teams in the Blitz 5, top 25. Anderson coming in at number 3, undefeated on the year. Winton Woods, number 7, 7-1 on the year, right? It's a battle of offense and defense, but when you look at Anderson, they're good on offense and defense, right? But historically, and kind of how these franchises and programs work, Anderson is really, really good on offense all the time, right? Winton Woods is usually really, really good on defense all the time. Again, I will mention Anderson is awesome on defense as well this year, but historically, right, Anderson is a great offensive team. Tell me what you're looking for from these two powerhouse, right, state championship caliber programs. It's going to be one of the most fun games of the evening.
Yeah, like you said, historically, this is a great game. A lot of times, one of these two teams have been winning the ECC over the last couple years. And as you said, we got kind of an offense versus defense thing, and we got talent all over the field. High major talent on both sides, Win Woods and Anderson. When you look at Anderson, we know they got the offense, they got the defense. Tyson Weaver, Jordan Davis. I mean, you can just go on and on with those guys. Owen Scoff getting them the ball. Brady Kuhn on defense. Winwood's the same way. Uh, they got a lot of talent. It starts with Bryshon Brown, Johnnier Travis as a wide receiver, and on the defensive side, Javian McKinney Cooper. Um, I've been wanting to say this. I don't know if I should say it, but it's supposed to be a good game. I don't know if it will be. You know, Anderson, I mean, they just consistently have showed us week after week after week that it's going to be a tough night if you're on the other side of the field. And I see it the same way this week. I know it's talent on talent. I know it's a great defense, but it's like they haven't showed me otherwise yet. And I feel like I see a dominant win, another one for Anderson on the road. So
It's going to come down to defense and turnovers, right? If Winton Woods is going to have a chance to win this game, right, they're going to have to force a couple turnovers, right? They're going to have the quarterback Scoff maybe throw an interception or two, right? I think minimum 2. Winton Woods is going to have to get a couple of turnovers in this game. It's going to be hard to do that when the quarterback takes care of the ball and they can run the ball as well. Again, we're cherry picking right here. Winton Woods, they're at home, right? They're really good on defense, right? They have a lot of talent. Offensively, it's just hard to see them keeping up, right? The reason I said the turnovers is, if you can get a turnover in your territory, right? Can you get a touchdown? Maybe can you block a field goal? Can you block a punt if you can make them punt? Because Winton Woods' defense, I think, can make them punt a couple times.
mm-hmm.
It is really uphill sledding for a Winton Woods team. But the run game is going to have to get going for Winton Woods, right? Maybe keep the offense off the field for Anderson, right? Maybe use clock, use the running game. Scoff is such a good quarterback. Winton Woods, that loss that they had against Kings, right? That week 2 loss, the only loss that they have this season. It's the offense, right? It was 16-14. The defense played pretty well in that game, and Kings is a very good team. But offensively, they're going to have to score points, right? They're going to have to get more than 20 points. They're probably going to have to get more than 28 to 30 points. And that is where, it's hard to see a path to victory here. The defense is talented if they force turnovers, Brandon. But again, the offense, Brown has to play the best game of his life. And most importantly, they have to play mistake free, right? They can't turn the ball over. They can't fumble the ball. They can't, botch a snap. It's going to have to be a perfect game from Woods, both sides. And they can't turn the ball over in this game.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, as we know, and I feel like it's a schematic nightmare, even coaching wise. And I mean, when you look at Evan Dreyer on the side of Anderson, it's like he's a step ahead of um, the defense as he's the play caller. And, majority of the time, if people that don't know, he's looking at the game as I got 4 downs. Evan Dreyer is not a big punter, if as we know. And this could be we saw in the state championship last year a 4th and 15 from like his own 20. It's like it doesn't even matter almost.
Yep.
So if it's short, he's calling the game with that in mind, and that I probably got 4 downs. And I think it's tough. And you mentioned turnovers, and a team that's averaging 50 points. I mean, 2 turnovers, and they're still at about 37, 35 points still if they score the rest of the time. So it's just it's tough, and they're showing me a lot week in and week out, so I'm sticking with them.
Yeah, and with Anderson, this is going to be their last true test, right? If we want to call it a test, because we can agree Winton was really, really good football team, but this is the last true test that they have, right? They have Loveland in week 10, and no disrespect to Loveland at all, but there's, the level of competition is going to fall off after this Winton Woods game. So this is Anderson's almost playoff tune-up, right? If we're, to a point, right? Because Loveland, again, no disrespect to that program. I like Loveland, but it's a step down from what Winton Woods is, right? So Anderson is really hopefully going to try to fine tune some things as they go into this Division II playoffs, right? They dominated Cooper early. They beat Kings. They beat West Claremont. All the teams that you think may, have given them a little bit of trouble, they've dominated. And this is the last one, right, on the schedule that, hey, Winton Woods, right? Maybe defense. They're at home. Is there going to be something? And this is going to be Anderson's final tune-up, Brandon. But they've been dominant all year, and, they're ready to make another run.
I'm with you.
Absolutely. And I do want to go to another game. This is a fun game because we got some small school action, right? We're going to show some of these small schools some love. 2 schools having really awesome years. One school that kind of recently has had some really, fun years, and then also a school that hasn't had much success at all in the recent years. But this year they're having a really fun year. I'm talking about North College Hill coming in at 7-1, going to Cincinnati Country Day also at 7-1. North College Hill, I think they were like 5-0 or 6-0 for the first time in so many years. Brandon, tell me about these schools, right? CCD and North College Hill, and kind of the fun year that they're having in the community, and kind of what you're looking forward to in this game of small schools having really good years, 7-1, both of them.
Yeah, well, this has become a big game over the years in their conference, the MVC, with these 2 teams going at it. And kind of a contrast of styles a little bit and players there, so that kind of makes for something good, and kind of like that cross town rivalry. They're kind of going from the east side to kind of the middle uh, um, of Cincinnati, but great teams. And when I look at North College Hill, I'm looking at Arneal Carr, a great quarterback. He's a dual threat speedster. Cornelius Spiller at running back, another guy who you get him out in space, and you can have a lot of issues as a defense. And they got 2 guys in Whitaker and Branch who are sack leaders. I think Whitaker has about 12 and a half on the season, Branch at 12 or 11, so they can get to the quarterback. And they'll have to this week because CCD has one of the better players unheard of in the area, and Levi Gutman. He's a passer, he's a runner, he's the leader of the team out there at CCD, and he likes to hook up with Thomas Huckleby as a deep threat. And They have a good, solid offense. They also have a guy by the name of Will Robinson on defense, who he's a tackling machine. Think about 61 tackles or so on the season. Really wreaks havoc. This could be a toss-up. I like the Nighthawks, one of my favorite mascots in the area of CCD, to take one at home this week.
Yeah, both of these teams again are 7-1. CCD comes in with a 6-game winning streak, right? They're both in the gray division of the MVC, right? Cincinnati Country Day winners of 6 in a row. And they've beaten some good teams, right? After that week 2 loss to Blanchester, it was 56-49 for CCD. They've reeled off 6 straight wins. They beat CCPA. They beat U Miami, right? Miami Valley Christian. A lot of these schools they've dominated. North College Hill, right? They're playing well. They just lost to Summit Country Day, right? Cincinnati Country Day's big rival over there. It was 44-14, but then they did bounce back and beat Clark Montessori 27-18. And Brian, I think they really have to go back to playing the way they were in the middle of the season, right? Kind of week 3, 4, and 5 when they beat Bethel Tate, right? Remember North College Hill beat Bethel Tate 32-20, 20-0 against Dayton Meadowvale. Then they beat West High 23-8. They're going to have to bring that defense back, right? Because CCD is kind of rolling in this game. But that middle of the season, North College Hill, when we started talking about them and reeling off wins, that defense is really going to have to step up in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And this is one of those games where you got two offenses that's going well, but the team, as you kind of mentioned, if they could get a turnover or get one, steal a possession deep in their territory, that could prove all the difference in this one.
Absolutely. Again, it's a fun game. Both of these teams are having really fun, exciting years. Both 7-1 small schools in the MVC. So again, congratulations to both of these schools. Looks like they will be both in the playoffs as well. Wishing them a lot of success, and it's been a lot of fun to watch these teams. All right, Brian. And the last big game I want to talk about before we do some rapid fire picks is one of the most impressive teams, top to bottom in the area. Right, a top 10 team. We're talking CMAC action over here. Taft, right? The Senators coming in 8-0, completely unblemished, going to Aiken, a 5-3 record. And I heard the stat, and I saw the stat. Over the past 4 games, Taft has defeated their opponents 258-0. I'm going to say that one more time for those of you who are listening. 258-0 in their past 4 games. Right. And Brandon, you could talk about level of competition. You can talk about who they play and what they're doing. I don't really care. You beat anybody in a 4-game stretch 258-0. You are as legit as it gets. Talk to me about this Taft team, right? Head coach Tyler Williams, as these guys playing out of their mind. And again, undefeated, dominating their opponents. Tell me about this team and, kind of what their chances are going forward.
Yeah, 258-0 and 314-7 over the past 6.
Goodness.
So even more so, but yeah, Taft has been playing all year like a team who lost the state championship last year. Hungry, wanting to get back to that level and wanting to win it this time. It's like we're just trying to blow through this so we can get to what we really want to get to, and that's the playoffs and advancing in the playoffs. And that's how they're performing, and they're just trying to take teams out of there. And Monsana Torbert, he's been a great quarterback this year. I believe he has 24 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, I believe, on the season. That's incredible, if I recall right. And he's got a ton of talent. He can throw the ball to, like McMullen and Hill, speedsters. Um, they like those little screens where them guys can just go, or they can beat you deep. And they got a great defense too. Kirtley and Pouncey, both with over 85 tackles. And, they're getting guys on the ground. And like you said, I mean, they're doing it better than Anderson. And when it comes to the offense and defense, just scoring and shutting teams down. I mean, these games have been over lightning fast with the running clock. They're getting up on guys, and we're out of there. But they do have some talent. Andre Underwood at quarterback, Romello Mitchell as a wideout. Gonna be a tough game for them. They're trying to make a playoff push themselves, but I think this one will be steep hill to climb. They may get on the board, but I thought Withrow was going to get on the board a couple weeks ago. I really thought that was going to be a good game, and it wasn't. So I go with Taft. I go with Taft big. That's what they've been doing. I'm gonna stick with them.
Yeah. And you know who they remind me of, Brandon? They're the D4 version of Anderson. Right, that's kind of what they remind me of, right? They're the D4 version of Anderson. They have just dominated just about everyone, and they've played two teams that are well above them in their divisions. Right? Remember the Withrow game you just mentioned. Withrow's a D2 team, a
Mhm.
talented, good D2 team. It was 39-0. They dominated that game, right? And in that early game against Alter, a game that they made that comeback, right? Alter's a Division 3 team, and they're loaded with talent, right? They're 6-2 this year. They're always really good. They beat them too, right? And they're dominating everybody in their conference. This is not a Taft team that's just beating up on bad teams and doing this and doing that. Every team that they played, two divisions up, including Withrow, they've dominated, right? Pound for pound, talent for talent. This is arguably a top two or three, talented roster in Southwest Ohio. Just looking at pound for pound talent.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of talent, like all across the board too. I mean, skill positions, linemen, offensively, defensively. They got a lot of guys who are going to play at the next level. And but right now, a lot of guys that, like I said, are hungry to get back to where they were last year and finish the deal. I think Tyler Williams obviously is the head of that, keeping those guys motivated and knowing that they can do something special this year. So
Absolutely. A lot of fun to watch Taft again. They got state championship on their mind, right? And there's not going to be many teams that are going to stand in their way with how talented they are. Again, a couple more weeks. We appreciate everyone listening. Before we get out of here, Brandon, I do want to do a couple rapid fire picks, right? A little ECC, a little GMC, and even an Eastern Indiana game before we get out of here for the night. How about number 6 Kings, right? Another top 10 ECC team going to Turpin, right? We've seen Turpin play some good football as of late, right? They've had a couple good quarters against Anderson, right? They won a couple games in a row. We got number 6 Kings going to Turpin. Is there a possible upset here, or do you like what Alex Garvin's team's doing?
I like what the coach Garvin is doing. Turpin, like you said, been playing teams tough. I could see this one being a close game. Uh, I think Turpin is still trying to uh, learn how to win. I guess you could say a program like Kings, they've been there before. I think they'll pull one out on the road, put the ball in Grant Nuri's hands when it gets close, and I think they'll get one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kings wins this game, but don't be surprised since this game is at Turpin and with the way they're playing. If this is like a 31-17, right, 31-21 type of a game where you think, okay, Kings got it done, but Turpin fought a really hard game in there as well. So I do got Kings winning, but closer than people think. How about jumping into the GMC, right? Oak Hills taking on number 11 Lakota West. This game is at Lakota West, and Brandon, we're not used to saying Lakota West and them not being, kind of top 5 or top 7 or maybe even higher than that. We're talking about number 11, Lakota West in week 9. So what do you think about this Lakota West team in this game and just kind of looking forward?
Yeah, it just shows you kind of the expectations that they've built over the last 4 to 5 years. 11, that's still a great ranking, but
Yep.
to them it's like they're kind of low, but um, they're getting they're getting going. I remember saying a couple weeks ago that their schedule was kind of going their direction now after some tough games. Um, I think they'll roll in this one. Oak Hills, they've been tough though. I think they're much better at home though. So this one, I like West in this one. Um, so fairly, comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tom Bolden, he's done this for so long, right? He's won so many GMC championships. He's won so many games. He's won so many playoff games. He knows that it's time to turn it up, right? You got 2 weeks until the playoffs. Your team's got to get better. I think their defense starts to swarm even more, right? Because their defense has been pretty good all year, right? The problem hasn't been their defense, right? So I think they really start to flip that switch to turn it up a notch. I think Lakota West wins big in this game. And then one more GMC game. How about Hamilton versus Middletown, right? Middletown coming in at number 15. This game will be at Middletown. Let me know what you're thinking about this game. Hamilton going to Middletown.
Yes, the Butler Bowl. I like Middletown in this one. Hamilton, they've been a weird team this year, so it wouldn't surprise me somehow if this one was closer, than we expect. Um, this is kind of like the Hamilton Fairfield last week. A lot of these guys have been interchangeable over their lives, from little league to high school. Middletown's starting two guys that played at Hamilton just last year, so um, it's you got all those elements involved, but I like what Middletown's doing. They got eyes on something big. Big game for Hamilton though, because they're sitting in that 11th spot unofficially that I saw. Win on Friday, I think that would definitely clinch them to stay in the top 12. So they got Coleraine next week, so that's not gonna help them much. So a lot to play for, but I'll take Middletown.
Yeah, I think this is a close game because of exactly what you just mentioned. Hamilton knows that their playoff seeding is so close, right? They're kind of on that borderline of are they going to make it, are they not? And they know they have to, either hopefully win this game or they have to look super impressive at Coleraine. I think this game is close. I could see, like 25-21 style game where you get some points, but a couple turnovers are a big thing. I love head coach Khalid Jones and what he's doing with Middletown. They're going to become a power. Not that they're not already a good team, right? They're already very good, but don't be surprised in the next couple of years if you see Middletown hanging around the top 10, right? I think they're going to be that good eventually as the years come. I like him that much as a program builder, as a coach. And I do think Middletown wins this game, but I think Hamilton plays with a lot of heart. And I do want to just get one more Indiana game, Brandon, before we get out of here for the night. How about number 17 East Central taking on Ron Colley? Remember, this was a little rivalry going back to like 2021, 2022, before East Central could take that next step. And they had that, historically good team in 2023 that won the state championship. Ron Colley was that team that got in their way and kept beating them year after year in the playoffs. Again, East Central comes in at number 17, going to Ron Colley, so they're going to take the bus right there. Again, one of the most interesting matchups and fun matchups over the past couple of years. Who you got in this game?
Very interesting. I don't know much about Ron Colley. So this year, especially, I think they played maybe LaSalle a couple weeks ago or
Yeah.
somebody. But yeah, I'm not real familiar with them out of Indy. I'm gonna go with East Central to get on the road and take care of business. They've been rolling. Keep it going.
Yeah, I think it was LaSalle that Ron Colley came and played LaSalle, and LaSalle did beat them. And Ron Colley, remember, played that game pretty close, right? That was not like 16, blah, blah, blah. So Ron Colley's a good team. I do like East Central in this game. Head coach Jake Miners, I think, is in that same boat. He's experienced. He's a state championship winner, right? He knows his team has to turn this kind of on, right? Because they're going to be starting the playoffs here very soon, and they need to get better. They need to continue to get better offensively and defensively. So I do got East Central winning this game as kind of a get right. Let's get our mojo going in this game. And Brandon, it's week 9, right? Any last minute thoughts about this upcoming week? We got the playoffs coming on, and I know we're going to talk more about the playoffs next week on our show and kind of what's going on, but it's week 9. Regular season's about to end. Anything standing out to you? Anything you want to, say of note?
Yeah, just teams, that urgency that a lot of teams are going to be playing with, trying to secure them a playoff spot. I'm looking at the Western Hills Mustangs, Division One, Region Four, big game this week against Woodward. They're one of those teams fighting for that 12th spot, and possibly they can get in and see what happens.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to, right? We're going to see divisions being clinched. We're going to see conferences being clinched over the next couple of weeks, and the playoffs will always sort themselves out. And again, we're going to talk about that as next week and as we get into the playoffs as well. Still so much to get into, right? Playoff football is around the corner. We got 2 more regular season games. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank everyone for listening, everyone who's watched. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, right? Twitter, Instagram, at TS Football. And then on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, you can listen to our TSF GamePlan show, our Monday Rewind show, and coaches' interviews as well, pregame and postgame. And like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, Brandon and I will be right back next week talking about the regular season finale, right? We'll wrap up the regular season and get ready for the playoffs as well. So again, for Brandon Lampley, I am Safwan Alvi. We thank everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week on the TSF GamePlan show.